So, I believe some trades are about to happen in the NBA, and the reason is because on December 15th is the first day that NBA free agents who signed last offseason can be traded. So, anyone who is signed to a new contract, who is a free agent, can be traded on December 15th, which opens up a ton more possibilities in terms of matching salaries and making trades. So that's going to be pretty exciting. And to pair with that, we've got a report from Shams Charania on multiple things, starting with Ben Simmons, who I've talked about quite a bit. And the report is that the Knicks, Lakers, Timberwolves, Trailblazers, Kings, Pacers, and Cavs are among the teams currently interested in talks with the Sixers. So there was a report, I think a bit before this, that the Sixers are looking for a top 25 player in return for Simmons, which seems a bit ambitious. In terms of the Knicks and the Lakers, which are the two teams that I think, this is sort of more news about, well, the Lakers just don't have the assets to get them. They don't have the salary cap space without trading Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, or Anthony Davis, and none of those three make sense. So he's not going to the Lakers. The Knicks, I think it'd be tough, but at least it's a bit more interesting. They do have Evan Fournier's contract, which can be traded on the 15th. And, would they be willing to give up Barrett? Do the Sixers want Barrett? The Knicks don't really have a top 25 player in the NBA unless you're still super high on Julius Randle, and I don't think the Sixers really want Randle, so it becomes tough but not impossible. I would see maybe the Knicks, if they want to get Simmons could make sense. He could definitely help them out defensively, which is somewhere they struggled this season. He could help them out a bit playmaking-wise. But I think it would be more in a three-team trade than in a direct trade with the Sixers. In terms of the other teams, yeah, they all make sense for a little bit, like the Blazers, Wolves, I've talked about. Kings, yeah, swap for De'Aaron Fox could make sense. Pacers, I feel like that one would be more of a three-teamer because they can't trade Brogdon this season, and I don't think the Sixers would want Sabonis or Turner because they already have Embiid. And then the Cavs, he could help them out their wing situation, but I don't know if they really want to trade, any of their core pieces, and I don't really think the Sixers want Sexton. But yeah, it's interesting the amount of teams the Sixers are talking with, and I do think they will try and trade Ben Simmons to get something to pair with Embiid this season. The next one is that many teams are expressing interest in Sabonis, and the Suns and the Kings are among those teams. So for the Suns, I don't really think they have the assets unless it was like something involving DeAndre Ayton, which could get a little crazy, and I don't really think that makes a ton of sense, especially with how well they've played so far this season. As for the Kings, Sabonis on the Kings could be interesting. I think he's a bit different to what they have in that he's a player who sort of plays slow and can make out of the post, and that's something they definitely don't have. What the trade would be, I feel like value-wise, Fox is the closest thing, but that doesn't really make too much sense for either team, so I think it would have to be sort of guys like Halliburton and Hield, and that could be an okay return for the Pacers. And for the Kings, yeah, they could, change it up a little bit. They need something interesting. I still think there's like a bit missing there, but Sabonis to the Kings could be an interesting fit. I'm just not sure exactly what the deal would be. Okay, next, Jeremy Grant. The Lakers and the Blazers are interested in him. I think trading Jeremy Grant for the Pistons could be a decent idea because he's a bit older than what they have, and you could get something decent for him at this point, or they could just keep him. He's a fine player to have alongside Cade and their young guys, but if they were to trade him, the Lakers, again, I don't really think they have the assets, unless like the Pistons love Talen Horton-Tucker, and I believe the Lakers can trade like one pick, but I still don't really think that does it for the Pistons. And then for the Blazers, I mean, we'll see. I do think the Blazers need to change something, whether it's trading for Simmons, trying to trade for Jeremy Grant, or just full-on rebuilding. I mean, would this deal include CJ McCollum? That doesn't really make sense for the Pistons. If it's not him, the Blazers have already traded quite a few picks, so it gets a little bit tough. But I do think it's good that the Blazers are looking to make some deals because I do think they need a change. Okay, and then finally, many teams are interested in trading for Cam Reddish, and the Hawks are asking for a first round pick. This is pretty interesting to me because Reddish was obviously a pretty high pick. I believe he was the 10th pick in the Zion and John Morant draft, so 2019. This is his third season, and for the Hawks, I think they're sort of getting ahead of the fact that they can't really pay all their young guys that they've drafted recently. They've extended Trey, they've extended John Collins. I think they want to keep Hunter. They've extended Herder, so I feel like Reddish is sort of the odd man out. This season, he's playing about 22 minutes a game. He's actually improved his three-point shooting to 37% on 4 attempts, and he's averaging about 11 points a game. So I think a few teams could use him. I think if a rebuilding team could be very interested in him because I do think he still has potential athletically, and then he had that one game against the Bucks where he's really good. But the problem for me with trading Reddish is for a first-round pick is that the rebuilding teams who are interested in him probably don't want to give up a first-round pick. Like, I feel like he could be decent on like the Pistons or the Magic. And then the good teams, their first-round picks, they either don't have them or they aren't very good. So, it could be a tough fit to find a team, though I do think teams should be interested for one first-round pick. A few teams that I just thought about was maybe like the Cavs. If they're truly believing in what they're doing right now, you think they need a wing, Reddish could help. And then the Bulls are also another team like that, though the Bulls have traded quite a few picks, so it could be tough. But yeah, overall, Reddish for a first round pick, I feel like someone could hop on that. The Pacers could also do that. So yeah, overall, I think there's going to be some trades soon. I'm pretty excited. December 15th is when players who are signed this offseason can be traded. So let's see what happens. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more NBA content.